Psalm 32 verse 8 says, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Good morning, church. Welcome to another episode of The Word for You today on this Friday morning. Today, we continue our series on red lights and green lights that Pastor Aaron started so well yesterday. If you missed it, be sure to check it out on the Village Church at World Golf Village's Facebook page. It'll be there from yesterday, and so you can be all caught up, or you can go back to your Word for You Today devotional and read along and be all caught up with us. I want to tell you a story today. Vincent's passion for ministry led him to the Belgian coalfields, where he preached to miners. He fed the hungry, and he earned a place in the hearts of the people. His church was filled to capacity with those who were eager to learn about Jesus. But his superiors, well, they weren't happy because Vincent wore hand-me-downs. He lived in a shack and slept on hay, having given his apartment to a homeless man. And he gave his salary to the people that he served. You look worse than the people that you teach, they said. But Vincent replied, wouldn't Jesus have done the same? His bosses disagreed, and he was dismissed from his duties for undermining the dignity of his role as a pastor. Vincent was hurt and he was angry. His only desire had been to build a church that would glorify God. So why hadn't God let that happen? Then one day, he watched an old miner struggling under a load of coal. Moved by the sight, he began to sketch the hunched figure. And although he didn't realize it at the time, Vincent was demonstrating his real calling. You see, the young preacher who had been rejected by his own denomination became an artist that the whole world will long remember. Vincent van Gogh. In 1 Chronicles chapter 28, verses 2 and 3, we read that King David rose to his feet and said, listen to me, my fellow Israelites, my people. I had it in my heart to build a house as a place of rest for the ark of the covenant of the Lord, for the footstool of our God. And I made plans to build it. But God said to me, you are not to build a house for my name, because you are a warrior and have shed blood. And then in verse 6, David tells us, God said to me, Solomon your son is the one who will build my house and my courts, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. And Solomon did indeed build the temple. You see, when God gives you a red light, be sensitive to it and be patient. Because when he overrules your plans to implement his own plan, just say amen. Because his plan is better anyway. Now, paraphrasing the great evangelist F.B. Meyer, he says this, are you in difficulty about your way? Go to God. Get direction from the light of his smile or the cloud of his refusal. Wait there, silent and expectant, though all around you insist on immediate decision or action. When we wait for God's green light, the will of God will be made clear. Obviously, that waiting on God's green light part is something that we added to the paraphrase, because when F.B. Meyer was around, there weren't traffic lights. We didn't have cars back then. But when we understand the concept of red lights meaning stop, hold on, and green lights meaning go, the will of God is made clear in God's timing, and he'll give us the green light that we need to move forward. And that, my friends, is the word for you today. Now, the final part of this series on red lights and green lights is in your word for you today. You'll want to definitely check that out for instructions on how to get God's directions for your life. So very practical in tomorrow's reading. If you're not getting one of these, make sure you let the church office know, and we can get you on the list. There's a brand new one coming out. for the months of September, October, and November, and you're definitely going to want to have it in your hands. Now, I also want to mention that the church is presenting Conversations About Racial Unity. That'll be coming up on September 1st and the 8th, successive Wednesday nights. We want to keep the group small so we can have some great discussion. So we're limiting it for the first time through to just 30 people. But if you'd like to be a part of that, we still have room, and you can contact the church office for more information. Dinner and childcare will be provided, and so that's the first 2 Wednesday nights in September from 6 until 8 p.m. And if you need the church's number, it's 940-6768. With that, I just want to let you know that we look forward to seeing you in worship this Sunday. And if you can't join us in person, be sure to join us on Facebook or YouTube at 9 or 11 a.m. And while you're online, be sure to let us know that you're there. We love you, church. Have a great weekend.